following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club. Is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, go Cowboys!
This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
Handoff, Elliott plowing to the goal line. Buried, sacked by Lord. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
And now your hosts, Isaiah Stanback, Heckma Harrison, Rob Phillips, and Kyle Yeomans.
It is a Thursday edition of Talking Cowboys, presented by Tostitos, the official chip and the official dip of the Dallas Cowboys, here from the SWBC studios at the Star in Frisco. We've got a great next 45 minutes. We are previewing the Cowboys offense versus the Vikings defense, week 8 of the NFL season. And this one's going to be a fun one because, man, these are two good units going up against each other. As always, the great professional football analyst, Heckma Harrison, Cowboys insider, Rob Phillips. Our resident Super Bowl champion, Isaiah Stanback, will be here in a moment. I'm Kyle Yeomans, driving the bus, and we are glad you're with us. But, Rob, I mean, a lot of things going on throughout the week of practice. Lots of...
Give it to us, Pete.
Lots of, I don't want to say pettiness, because I don't think that's exactly what it is. But
pettiness?
I don't think there's pettiness involved. But there's a lot of intrigue around this team this week.
No, explain the pettiness.
No, I said I don't want to call it pettiness.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I almost said petty, but I didn't. Or I didn't want to. Yeah, I would say more intrigue than anything.
Definitely.
Yeah?
Two positions. Two particular spots there. Dak Prescott status for week 8 and Lyle Collins status for the rest of the season. Week 8 and going forward.
I'm waiting.
I don't know.
Oh, come on, Pete.
I don't know because I don't think. Well, you want to start with LC?
Yeah, let's start with them.
I don't know because I don't know if they know exactly. Other than the fact that he's back, he provides competition and depth, and Mike McCarthy doesn't seem as opposed to this best 5 idea as he was last year. If you're going to potentially move him to guard and see what he can do there, even though he hasn't played there in 5 years.
I am so confused and thrown off by all of this.
There's a lot of layers to this thing.
It is.
You know?
All of a sudden. And when did Leal get caught up in a competition battle with Terrence Steele? If we're just going to go with the best 5, and obviously let's just kudos to Joe Philbin for getting Terrence Steele ready and doing the job that he did with this guy for 5 games. But I have always been under the assumption that La'el Collins is way better than Terrence Steele. And if we're going with the best 5, then he's one of the best 5. The left guard thing, I think, who's been pounding the desk for years and years about La'el being a left guard? And he makes the move out to right tackle, and now we're saying it just the whole thing confuses me, and I don't know where we go from here.
They're keeping their options open. And real quick, let me just back up, and because Dak's probably the story of the week. He had limited participation yesterday with the strained calf. I was out there for the open portion. He looked fine to me. He did a very extended, if you want to call it like a dynamic warm-up with a lot of motion exercises. I think he did the bands with Britt Brown, and he did a little throwing by the time we left, and he looked fine to me. CeeDee Lamb said he looked like the same Dak. So we'll see where it goes today. Maybe he gets into some team stuff today. We'll hear from Mike McCarthy here in a little bit. The LC thing. So he's going to work at tackle and guard. That's what Mike McCarthy told us. And Terrence Steele at this point is still the starting right tackle. So it opens up some possibilities. I'm curious to see where they go. And we talked about this on Mix Shots. You brought it up. Like, what do they do? And Jerry on The Fan last week said something very interesting. He said, I could see something to the effect I could see both of them on the field together, Steele and Lyle Collins, every game. Well, how are you going to do that? I guess if you were going to do that, it would mean Lyle Collins is a guard because Terrence Steele is a tackle. I don't know. I don't know if the lineup will change this week. Just a hunch, just a guess. I don't think it will, because if Terrence Steele is still your right tackle and Lyle Collins is making a transition to a position he hasn't played since 2016, I don't think you do that in 2 days or a few days.
The official quote from McCarthy, and this is straight out of Rob Phillips' story on DallasCowboys.com, but it says, "We're going to push him in there." McCarthy said of Collins, "He looks good. He moved well on Monday. LC has position flex. we're going to start the week with Terrence at right tackle, but LC gives us some great competition in there. So we're going to go and try and work him as much as possible this week. So this has always been a vague situation. I mean, it's been handled from a vague standpoint from the coaching staff, from the front office, what Jerry and Steven said last week on the radio and in their interviews. I don't know what to think of it. I'm kind of right there with you. I'm confused because is he not ready? Is there a conditioning issue? I know he said he moved well, he looked good, but is it legitimately a behind-the-scenes conditioning issue? Though he missed 5 weeks, maybe he's just not ready to go. Terrence Steele played exceptionally well, but did he play to a Lyle Collins standpoint? Or is this an opportunity for the Cowboys, or is this they're throwing potatoes at the wall to try and fix the interior of the offensive line? That's the other thing that you got to look at. It's not just an indictment on what maybe Lyle Collins was doing. It might be an indictment on the way that Tyler Biadasz and or Connor Williams have been playing.
Hello, Isaiah.
What's up, man? How you guys doing,
Isaiah.
man?
How's it going?
P, you know something, P, and you're not telling us.
I don't know what they're going to do here. I really don't. I think it's competition. Isaiah talks about this all the time. It's competition, and I think when Lyle Collins is Lyle Collins and he's back and he's healthy and he's been in rhythm, he's the second best tackle on this team. He and Tyron Smith are the best tackles on this team. I don't doubt that. But I do think they recognize how well Terrence Steele has played. And I think you mentioned the depth at guard. Who's your swing backup guard right now?
Connor McGovern.
Yeah, it's McGovern.
But they've said Connor McGovern is a better right guard than left guard.
Mm-hmm.
And Terrence Steele is not a guard. So maybe they're looking at shoring up some depth there and just trying this out. It may not stick, but trying it out, and maybe they do make a move at some point and see how Connor Williams plays going forward, see how Terrence Steele plays going forward, and then make a decision. I think they're just.
You don't even believe what you just said.
I'm not sure what they're doing. I think they're keeping their options open right now. But Mike referenced continuity, and so maybe he's not willing to make a change to the starting lineup right now. But just kind of keep your options open. You've got a really good player who's played a couple different spots in his career, and just kind of see where this goes. That's the only thing I can think of.
Maybe he's looking at it as the Cowboys are 0-1 with Lyle Collins at right tackle, and they're 5-0 with Terrence Steele at right tackle.
That's a stat.
Oh man, come on, IRS, give us something, man. Is that yours? Is that stand back design?
This is actually my sister used to work for Cutter and Buck. She designed this one.
Okay, I'm just saying it looked good. Looked like you just got back from Squid Games. What's up?
No, I mean it's
not a compliment.
New sheriff in town, man. New sheriff in town. We've been talking about this culture thing for a very long time, and if you have a premier player who comes back when his backup has been playing well, you just simply give him his job back. What does that tell the rest of the team? It tells the rest of the team you're putting him in there because he was a starter, because he is getting paid more. You're not rewarding people based upon their performances, right? You're demoting guys simply because they don't get the same paycheck that this other guy gets. So as we talk about culture, what negative can we say about Terrence Steele?
Nothing.
Not a lot.
So why would you take his job from him?
Okay, so Leo Collins is not going to be standing on the sideline when the starting offensive line go out. I mean, if there's some kind of punishment, because
unless something changes.
Yeah. Okay. But Jalen Smith, he got caught up in that because once guys were coming off of COVID restrictions and all, you knew you couldn't play him as much as you wanted to in your scheme, and there's no way you were going to have that money standing on the sideline. How do you justify the same thing with Leo Collins?
There's a couple things working here, right? So we talked about the other day in terms of punishment, right? What do the coaches do to Lyle? Do they fine him? Do they suspend him? What do they do, right? You know what I'm saying? Obviously, the league took a stance, but what are they doing internally to make sure that he knows that what he was doing or what he did was not acceptable? I think there's an aspect of that, and I also think there's an aspect of culture being established in terms of saying, hey, you have to earn your keeps around here now. It doesn't matter how much you get paid. It doesn't matter what you've done in the past. This is the new Cowboys going forward. I think it's a combination of both. I think it's a slap on the wrist letting him know, hey, bro, like, we're not going to sit you, but just so you know, this is not what you did is not acceptable. At the same time, by the way, the dude that replaced you is balling. Right, so we're not just going to give you your spot back, because if we just give you your spot back, it communicates to everybody else. It doesn't matter how well you play. If you're not the guy, that's not your job.
That's why there's different layers to this, because you can look at the guard situation and you can debate Connor Williams' play. I've been more positive about it than other people. I realize he's up there with penalties in the league right now. Mm-hmm. So, and they tried to create some competition there in training camp with Connor McGovern. So there's that layer too. And Lyle Collins has played that position for a year and a half. He got injured his second year in the league. So that's another place where you look at and say, hey, we can create competition.
Kind of along those same lines, is there any possibility, and I haven't heard anything from this whatsoever, I haven't seen anything, haven't heard anything, other than Connor Williams was taking snaps yesterday at center, not in the team drills, but in the individual just snap and exchange with the quarterbacks. Is there a chance that they go back to that conversation of maybe moving Connor Williams over to center? Lyle then slides in at guard, if that's a potential. I know we had talked about that at training camp quite a bit.
I don't know about that, because I think both Connors probably take some snaps during practice all the time just to be ready. If they were going to do that, Connor Williams would have to be better at that whole operation than he was in preseason, and maybe he has gotten better at it. I don't know. I think left guard and center are two spots where you look at it and say they need. It's probably hasn't been as clean as the other positions on the line. I'll say that, but I just have a hard time seeing the lineup really changing this week. Maybe it does, but they're keeping an eye on everything, and maybe things are subject to change moving forward.
And how high of a potential is it, the fact that this might just be a complete smoke screen and Lyle Collins will be the right tackle whenever Sunday comes around?
Well, I'm hoping that that's exactly what it is.
Just a lot of talk.
Just a lot of talk and
motivation.
He was getting a little guard-type work in the open portion yesterday. I mean, that's not a facade. I mean, I know how much when we go away is done, I don't know. But
have you ever had a coach take you from like wide receiver down to tight end, or just like, hey, we need help at tight end, Isaiah, so you come down here and play? I mean,
I played 3 offensive positions in the NFL, so yes, I have.
So what
I'm not a good example. I'm not a good example.
I want to hear about it.
No, I mean, I've never been the guy in the NFL like Lyle Collins is, right? So I can't speak to that. But like I said, what I believe it is this competition, bro. It doesn't matter how much you're getting paid. It doesn't matter how many Pro Bowls you've been to. This dude's playing well. Why would we take a guy out who's playing well, who has continuity with our offensive line? Why would we mess that up for somebody who hasn't played in a long time?
The other thing about that, though, is it's an interesting line to walk, because Lyle Collins is loved in that locker room.
Yeah.
And he's a vet, and he's a guy who's played through things. And so when you make that decision.
But that's why I say it's not one layer, though, right? They also know what he did, right? That hurt the team, right, in terms of his suspension. So that it's not like it was just, oh, my gosh, it's happened to me. No, you did something, bro, that you shouldn't have done. So they also understand that the repercussion side of that. So that's why I'm saying it's twofold. It's not just one-sided.
The fact that he's loved in that locker room might actually make it more beneficial, or at least more efficient from a coaching staff standpoint, to say, hey, he is the example.
Yep.
Don't do this if you want to continue to keep your job or continue moving forward. I don't think he's going to, for the rest of the year, be out of a starting position.
It's this game.
It's just whether or not he plays this week, and we'll see how that goes. Now, we got a couple more minutes here in this first segment. You mentioned Dak Prescott, limited in practice, and Dak, of course, everything is pointing forward. It looks like he's going to be fine come Sunday, but what is your confidence level, Rob? You were out there, you got to see him run around, and you said he looked good to you, but confidence level, he's starting, and he's behind center on Sunday.
CeeDee Lamb gave us a percentage.
What was that?
He says 90% he thinks Dak will start Sunday.
Surprised he didn't say 88.
Right. Nice.
Yeah.
That's just his thought. I mean, based on what I've seen, he looks good. But Mike McCarthy said, and it sounds like they're trying to be conservative with this, until he passes all of the hurdles in the rehab portion, then he's not going to be full go. Maybe he's full goes by the end of the week, or even by today he'll do a lot of team stuff. But at this point yesterday, he wasn't, and they're not about to risk him past this week. So he can look good out there, but if they think there's risk that he could re-injure this thing or injure it worse Sunday, then he won't play. I still think they have a hope that he will start. I don't think that's changed, but I don't think it's guaranteed at this point.
Now, Isaiah, when an NFL practice schedule for him to be ready to play Sunday night, which day would it be? Is pivotal? Is today or tomorrow the most important day for Dak?
Man, they could run this thing all the way up to Saturday with Dak. I mean, This schedule is so weird. I was just laughing about that with Kyle yesterday. This schedule is soft. SAWFT soft. But I mean, we have an amazing training staff. So I mean, you want to see him when he's the guy, right? When he's the guy like he is, you can run him all the way up to Saturday, even pregame Sunday, to see if he's ready to play.
So we won't know.
You won't know until the roster is released. Well, he'll still be on the roster for that day. He won't be inactive. I highly doubt that.
Yeah.
But you won't know until the snap.
Do you think there'll be 3 quarterbacks active then? Do you think they'll keep Dak active, maybe keep Will Grier, who's been on the 53-man but has been one of the scratches the last couple weeks?
I mean, it makes sense, but I can't see that happening.
Yeah.
I can't see that happening, no.
Even if he is ready to go, you don't keep a third on the roster just to be careful?
Possibly. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it makes sense, but I just don't know. Yeah, I just don't know. Don't know. I mean,
what do you think?
No, I don't know anything about Will Grier to speak intelligently about what he can do. So I mean, I'm going to go with our backup, the guy that we kept, Cooper Rush, on the roster. I just feel like all of this, to me, if Dak wasn't ready to go, if there was any inclination that he couldn't go, that we'd hear so much more about guys coming in. We hadn't seen any tryouts or guys out there, not that we know of, or Rob is written on. So, I just think that again, it's a lot of gamesmanship for the coaches to kind of, keep Coach Zim guessing on who he's going to face at quarterback. I don't think they're getting ready and they're scheming this up for Rush at all. I don't think they're worried about him. But, I just think it's gamesmanship on the coach's part.
I could kind of see that. I think a lot of it is gamesmanship, both with Dak Prescott and with the La'el Collins situation. So I'm right there with you.
I do think the one thing I would say, though, is that he could wake up Friday and it doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
And so it could change. And I think that is truthful, that they'll just take it all the way, maybe all the way till Sunday. And Mike did say whatever we do or don't do in team period doesn't necessarily reflect what we'll do Sunday. I do think it's probably a big day for him to hopefully get a little work in because it's padded. And then you're off Friday, and then you have a very light practice Saturday before you leave town.
Don't say that.
No, I'm not saying if he doesn't practice, he's out. I'm just saying that would be good for him to get some work in team if they want to progress to that.
And I think one of my biggest concerns isn't even whether or not he will play. It's whether or not he will be able to do Dak Prescott things and be able to roll out a little bit more. They're probably not going to try and push that as much as they normally would. But I want to make sure that he is in a position where if he needs to protect himself, he can. And that's my biggest thing. I don't want him to be a sitting duck back behind the line of scrimmage and have this Minnesota front seven get after him. And we're going to talk about this Minnesota front seven coming up in a little bit. But when we come back here on Talkin Cowboys, are the receivers going to be relied on more so than in weeks past to win this game on Sunday when we come back on Talkin Cowboys?
Honey, big news.
Gary, are you okay?
Oh, I'm not Gary anymore. I'm Jackie Flash.
What?
See, I want the latest smartphone, but the best deals are only for new customers. So, to get a new customer deal, I changed my name to Jackie Flash.
Okay, but the best smartphone deals at AT&T are for everyone, new and existing customers.
That's huge. Then guess who's getting a deal?
Is it Jackie Flash?
Jackie Flash.
It's not complicated. At AT&T, our best smartphone deals are for everyone. Restrictions apply. Visit att.com for details.
New Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. You deserve it.
I do deserve that.
You deserve decadent flavor without sugar. And a day at the beach without sand getting everywhere. And a relaxing bath that your children don't interrupt.
I deserve all that?
It's really just a visual metaphor for Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. Everything you want, nothing you don't.
A visual metaphor on the radio. I do deserve that.
Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. The zero you deserve is finally here.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/cowboys.
There's nothing as unique as our eyes, which is why Essilor pioneers ways to make lenses as unique as you. Verilux for super sharp vision, Essential Blue for protection, and Crizal for freedom from glare. 3 cutting-edge solutions in a single unique lens. So whatever your needs, insist on Essilor. Visit your local Essilor experts and find the perfect lens for you. See more, do more, Essilor.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
It's great people, great pay replay here on Talking Cowboys. You've already heard it. Jason Witten has joined the Caliber Collision team. You can join him to do great work with great people for great pay. You can apply now at jobs@caliber.com. That is jobs@caliber.com. You okay, Isaiah? You all right?
Yeah, rough night, man.
Oh.
Rough night.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, you're going to have to cheer up today.
Is it the stocks?
All right? What's going on, man?
The stocks are okay.
No.
Stocks are good?
Stocks are good.
For the first time in this show, we didn't say a word during break, and I don't like it. All right? I don't like it. We're usually in here playing jacks or something, man. I mean, come on. Nobody said nothing. All right, what's going on right now? Do we need to start this show over? Come on, Chris, roll the open, man.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that one. That's a little hard to do. I like the idea, though.
He forgot to plug in his car. That's what it was.
Yeah, there you go.
He forgot to plug in his See, I didn't even see.
Did you forget the charger today?
No, I never forget that.
I wish I had that problem. I wish I had a car with a plug.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
That'd be cool.
All right, we're going into this matchup. We're going to dive straight in. We've already been talking about the Cowboys side of things, but the Vikings bring, of course, a challenge offensively, but defensively, they've got some guys on that side as well, almost at every level. I would probably say the secondary is the one susceptible part to that Vikings defense. So that brings me to the question that, are these wide receivers going to be ultra relied upon this week to have a big day? Of course, last year we saw CeeDee Lamb have a big day. I mean, Amari Cooper's had big days against the Vikings in the past as well. Are these wide receivers going to have more success than even they're used to having, and is that going to be the key to a win?
I don't like that question. And the reason being is because I believe that this is an Ezekiel Elliott game.
Oh.
I do.
You can answer that question that way. I like that.
And the reason I feel like that is because of everything that you talked about yesterday about the wide receivers for the Vikings. And I had to go back and diagnose that and just look at how they represent, even in red zone, how Justin Jefferson stretches the field. I think that Zeke, not only, and we talked about the defense yesterday, but I think Zeke has an effect not only on offense but on our defense as well. He has that because our guys get to come back in and they're fresh. Because of he's winding down the clock. He's doing so much on offense, and the time of possession, we've kind of ruled that. And so I want this to carry over into the Vikings game, where Zeke can continue to melt down this clock, continue to grind down this Vikings defense, because they got some guys. I mean, just no ifs, ands, buts about it. Daniil Hunter is built like a Greek statue, and Eric Kendricks at linebacker. He's one of the smartest linebackers in the league. I love this guy. And even in the secondary with Harrison Smith, they do some really phenomenal things. So I just feel as though if we pressure and make this a Zeke game, there's no way for them to stay in this ball game with us. Even though that slows it down, doesn't allow you to do a lot of the things that you like to do with stretching the field and throwing it 50 times a game. I just don't want to see that.
Mike Zimmer likes pressure. Mike Zimmer is still Mike Zimmer. He's been consistent for a very long time in this league. These guys are leading the league. I think they're tied for first with sacks.
Yep.
So they're going to come after Dak or Rush or whoever the heck decides to line up back there. But to that point, these guys want to play 8-man box. They want to play single high. It's going to be hard for Zeke to get off. I want him to get off, but they're going to make it hard for Zeke to get off. There's a greater chance of the Vikings, winning the ball game with the ball in the air than it is if we control the ground game. So I think they're going to try to take Zeke out of that. If you had to pick a poison, right, you got to choose against the Cowboys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most teams have been taking L's against us, no matter which one they choose. But if coming into this game, I can imagine that Zimmer is going to have 8 guys in that box and go up there and challenge our receivers and make plays.
It's a Mike Zimmer defense, so they're going to be sound. We know that because he was here for a long time. He's a great coach. To your point, Kyle, about the receivers, they've got some injuries back there in the secondary. Patrick Peterson's on IR, I believe. Mm-hmm. So you got Cameron Dantzler, who's a second-year guy, probably starting at corner on one side. And
Rashad Breeland.
Breeland's a vet on the other side. I think he had a pick on the first play of the game on Sam Darnold. Panthers are not – they're not what they were a few weeks ago. But, yeah, they've got some – if there's an issue for them – out of the 3 levels on defense, it might be in the secondary, to your point, Kyle. So there might be some opportunities out there.
I'm wondering if you talk about Alexander and Xavier Woods on the back end too. Of course, former Cowboy there as well.
We know that guy.
Yeah, you know him pretty well, don't you? I do see this as an opportunity because the guy that they really relied upon to be that veteran presence was Patrick Peterson. And for the first time in his career, he lands on IR. He has never been on IR up until this very point. So, I mean, he's out for the next couple of weeks. This is a young secondary with a lot of good young pieces that are still trying to find their way, Cameron Dantzler being one of those. They've had some injuries there in the past with Gladney, who was a TCU prospect out of last year's draft. So I just think CeeDee Lamb has an opportunity to have a really big day this week. And, I mean, Amari Cooper there as well, but specifically CeeDee and the yards after the catch and the way he's able to kind of take advantage of defenses, much like he did against New England. I see that as a repeat opportunity for him to have a big day.
No, and I agree with that. But I just feel like basically – the line of scrimmage is so important in this game. And if the Cowboys are able to dominate the line of scrimmage and establish Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott, I think that makes everything else that we do so much easier. Play action we have to be careful about play action in this game because Danielle Hunter is not that. He's a smart end. And Dak can come back around from that play action and have number 99 right in his face. So all of those things are relative. I just feel as though you can only set that up by having a positive effect on the ground. We're going to air it out. We're going to get it to Amari Cooper. We're going to get it to CeeDee Lamb. We know that we can dominate in that aspect. Rashad Breeland, Super Bowl champion for the Kansas City Chiefs. Never liked them for the Washington football team, obviously, for reasons. But I feel like he's sound, but I don't think that he's a threat as far as staying with either of our guys. We're going to exploit that, but we have to first start it with the run game. That's just my opinion on this game.
Really quickly, I want to correct myself. Jeff Gladney was released because of an off-the-field issue this summer, so he's not even on the team anymore, so I shouldn't even have mentioned that name.
But he was the guy in coverage on CD with that ridiculous touchdown.
Yes, he was. He's a good player, but he had some off-the-field.
He's on the poster.
Yeah. So he got released. But I agree with you because even if you look back at last year's game, Zeke probably had his best game arguably of the year from a physicality standpoint and a running standpoint against this Minnesota defense, and it really set up the passing game. I agree with you there. It opened things up for Andy Dalton at the time. So do you agree with Heckma? Do you think it is a run-first mentality this week, or is that really just kind of the baseline for this Cowboys offense moving forward? Because I could see that as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think they always try to establish that. I also agree with Isaiah because I think it is pick your poison. If they want to play too high, two safeties high, and back off a little bit, then run the ball all day. I mean, that's what the Cowboys have done. If they want to load the box, I agree with you. I think there's matchups on the outside that they can take advantage of. That's the beauty of this offense. But pass protection is going to be key because Danielle Hunter is going to be lined up. Probably, if Terrence Steele starts Sunday, he's going to see a lot of Danielle Hunter, and they've got to be able to help him out where they need to.
Do you think with Hunter coming off the edge, both either La'el Collins or Terrence Steele, whoever is at right tackle, gets help on the outside from some of those tight ends? A couple extra looks. Do you think that they get a little extra blocking help there?
I don't see us utilizing our tight ends too much against these guys. I think we need to get our tight ends out simply because of what these guys do with their front seven and how aggressive they are, being that they get these sacks. So it makes sense to use your tight ends, but Schultz is such an intricate part of this offense now to tie him up at the line of scrimmage when he's such an outlet on the interior side of the defense I think it would be a waste.
What kind of game do you expect him to have?
I expect him to have a great game. I think we're going to have a lot of quick hitters. We don't want to be back here holding the ball against these guys. We trust Steele, we trust our offensive line, but we don't want to play with the devil here. These guys are tied for first in sacks for a reason, and we got to respect that. So get the ball out quick. Like I said, I expect a lot of single high. If they want to go double, if they want to go two safeties, good luck. We'll run that thing right down their throat. Right. But if they come, I expect single high, and we're going to win our battles outside.
So 6 catches for 75 yards and a touchdown, probably. It's about what we're going to see from Dalton Schultz.
Consistent for him.
I mean, he's solidified himself as a possession receiver on this team. And again, when you talk about the help on the outside, I agree with you, Isaiah. You got to get this guy out. He's going to be the X factor in this game in a lot of ways, especially when you're talking about them crowding the box to stop the run, just those quick outless passes. But I don't think people understand how quickly Dak is getting rid of the ball. I mean, he's right up there with Tom Brady in efficiency and getting the ball out of his hands. So even with knowing that going into this week versus a team that's number 1 in sacks. I just still see Dak getting the ball out early, and that's why, play action is going to be such a pivotal part of getting those passes off.
And watching Minnesota just a little bit, you guys are right. I mean, they have some nice, well-timed blitzes. They send pressure on different downs. But Dak's been as good as anybody in the league against the blitz. So, maybe that, you hope that can continue if you're the Cowboys.
You guys keep talking about a Mike Zimmer defense as well. And, of course, we know Mike Zimmer well from his time in Dallas as both defensive coordinator, now from his time at Minnesota as a head coach. Here's his stats against a number 1 scoring offense entering this week. He is 6-2 versus number 1 offenses, scoring and in yardage as well. 6-2. He's giving up 19.5 points per game. He's giving up just over a 331 mark, and then his passing yards is down to 215. He's held their opponent to under their average in all 8 of those matchups, despite losing 2 of them.
Ouch.
So my question to you, my question to you is how does Mike Zimmer do that? What does he do from a fundamental standpoint so well that over the course of his career, if a number 1 offense comes into town, he doesn't care. He's going to find a way to slow them down, at least at limited capacity to what they've been previously.
I think he's just a great coach. I don't think these guys do anything miraculous. I think that they're just very sound. They all know exactly what they're expected to do, and they all execute. They have Harrison Smith coming out the secondary. He's a big time player. Big-time player. He affects the passing game and the running game. He's a Palomalu-ish type guy where he can
Palomalu-ish?
Ish.
I got you.
Not a comparison.
Not a comparison.
I got you.
But the fact that he can affect both ends of the game.
Yeah.
It's not Jamal. You think about Jamal Adams, like
I'm with you.
He's coming to the line of scrimmage. You're not worried about him in the secondary. This guy, you better know where he's at.
Yeah.
So he affects both aspects of the game. And these guys, his front seven is just stout, right? I think that's one thing that you always know you're going to get with Zimmer. You're always going to have at least one defensive end that's going to be able to positively affect the game. He's going to have some big stout guys up front that are gap sound, and then you're going to have some big boy linebackers that are going to add pressure. So that's his makeup.
He's always had good linebackers all the way going back to these days here. Coakley and Datwin and all those guys. You mentioned Kendricks. Barr is a great player. They've got dudes. They got guys, and he's just a great teacher. He transitioned to a 3-4 in Dallas when he'd never coached it in his life and helped guide DeMarcus Ware. He's just a great coach.
Yeah, and great with personnel. But that stat, man, that's a pretty heavy stat.
Yeah,
for being 6-2 versus number 1 offenses. But what I rely on in this game is Mike McCarthy's experience against Coach Zim. I think he's 4-1 all time, and you have to remember these guys coached in the same division for quite a while. Mm-hmm. So this is a matchup, and there's familiarity there. So I think definitely Mike McCarthy can help Kellen Moore out.
You mentioned a heavy stat.
Yeah.
Coming back on the other side of the break, I've got a Hall of Fame stat for Dak Prescott when we come back right after this.
That's a tease. I like that.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with United Ag and Turf. Before you can park yourself in front of the game, park yourself in a John Deere and power through your chores. Our Land Run package is a 1025R, 25 horsepower tractor with a loader, rotary cutter, and a box blade for $229 a month. And the price you see is the price you'll pay. No surprises. So don't miss another kickoff.
Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com. Offer ends February 1st, 2021. Restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Now let's get to work.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way.
Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
Honey, big news.
Gary, are you okay?
Oh, I'm not Gary anymore. I'm Jackie Flash.
What?
See, I want the latest best smartphone, but the best deals are only for new customers. So, to get a new customer deal, I changed my name to Jacket Flash.
Okay, but the best smartphone deals at AT&T are for everyone, new and existing customers.
That's huge. Then guess who's getting a deal?
Is it Jackie Flash?
Jackie Flash.
It's not complicated. At AT&T, our best smartphone deals are for everyone. Restrictions apply. Visit att.com for details.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Whether you're watching from home or you're cheering in the stands with Essilor lenses, you can see every exciting play. Book an appointment at your local Essilor experts and see what Essilor can do for you. See more, do more. Essilor on Talking Cowboys. You're the great Heckma Harrison, Isaiah Stanback, Rob Phillips. I'm Kyle Yeomans.
That's okay.
You forgot the mic toss. That's okay.
God, though.
You got it at the end. It looked kind of cool from the other angle.
Whatever. It's in.
It's too much.
You've got the beauty shot of the entire show.
I'm too strong with it.
I'm too palm.
Just a fingertip.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Oh my God! All right.
No.
Chris Beam in the back
guys.
is wearing a hoodie. Let's get away from anything we just heard from.
No way, guys.
I mentioned going into the break a teaser of a show.
I'm waiting.
Or of a stat. Are you ready for this?
I am.
I'm ready.
This blew my mind earlier. Quarterbacks with 16 passing touchdowns, over a 70% completion percentage, and fewer than 5 interceptions through their first 6 team games of the season in the Super Bowl era. Dak Prescott has all of those 3. You want to know the rest of the guys who did? 2013, Peyton Manning. 2011, Aaron Rodgers. 2007, Tom Brady. 2004, Dante Culpepper. And 1999, Kurt Warner. The only guy out of those 5 that I just mentioned that did not win the MVP award was Dante Culpepper in 2004. The other 4 guys won the MVP, and all 4 of them will certainly at one point be in the Hall of Fame. And Dak Prescott is the 6th name on that list to achieve that through the first 6 games of the season.
I like that.
If you have
good football playing.
Any doubts of what Dak Prescott is doing right now, it doesn't matter. I mean, just look at the company that he is with and the way that he has played. It's pretty incredible what he is doing.
Not only the quarterbacks there, but those teams, I'm just running through the history. All those teams won like 13, 14, 15 games that year.
Yeah.
And were Super Bowl contenders. So very good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Nate Newton.
There he is.
Nate is photobombing you behind on the show and then just gives you the
Nate.
peace sign walking away. How's it going, Nate? That was funny. Yeah, he's got some shows coming up later today as well, but not always you get photobombed by Nate Newton.
You felt that?
I didn't even have to see it. I felt it.
Well, it was this big shadow just coming across.
I felt him staring at Heckma.
But yeah, so my reasoning in bringing up the stat is, 1, to just say a fantastic stat surrounding Dak Prescott. 2, he could have had more than just those 16 touchdowns if you really wanted to look at it, because the Cowboys have struggled in the red zone again this season. It was a struggle prior in Kellen Moore's career, dating back to really when he took over as offensive coordinator, and it was definitely a struggle in Week 6 against the New England Patriots. So I ask you this, since it is Halloween week, how can Kellen Moore get rid of the red zone scaries, Rob Phillips?
Just convert some really near misses that they had so far. I wrote about this earlier in the week. There's been 5 or 6 red zone plays that probably should have been touchdowns. I think they're tied for 24th, 25th in the league in red zone efficiency. But if they convert those where you put a microchip in the football, Dak's got 2 touchdowns. You go back to the New England game. That's a touchdown by Cedric Wilson until the very last second. Dalton Schultz would look like a drop a few weeks back. I mean, you convert some of those or all of those, they're a top 10 red zone team. I don't think they're as far away as people think.
But isn't that,
I know. It's shoulda, woulda, coulda, but the Dak ones alone, I think we're all in agreement he got in. And so that
for the 2 specifically,
if he just gets those 2, I think they jump up into the top 10.
Wow.
So it's not I don't think they're that far off. It's not good enough, especially for their standard and how talented they are.
So with that being said, have you seen an improvement in the red zone play calling, the red zone efficiency, just based outside of what you've seen from an eyeball test?
Yes, and I think we're not giving enough credit to what Coach Belichick was doing in the red zone versus us, period, and what he was doing defensively. And obviously, if you're going to base it off of that game, we've already said we shot ourselves in the foot so many times in that game, it doesn't even make sense to do a comparison there. But I think, you know what else can help you in the red zone is having La'el Collins at right tackle and allowing him to plow that right side with Zach Martin. And then we don't even have to talk about what happens once we get down there.
Or at left guard, and he's plowing the left side with Tyron Smith.
No, man.
I'm just playing devil's advocate. What did Bill Belichick's defense do, though, specifically that helped slow down this Cowboys offense? And can Minnesota replicate it?
They slowed themselves down.
That was definitely my answer. They slowed themselves down, and obviously we scored a touchdown that we did not get. But either way, I just felt like once we got down there to the one, and specifically that play, they just crowded the line of scrimmage in. Number 8 or number 9 just made a fantastic play by punching the ball out.
Yeah.
So I mean, those are just things that, and it gets going back with what P said. You know, we had multiple opportunities to score in the red zone, just things that did not happen that would have elevated us to top 10, and we wouldn't have this conversation. So we're nitpicking.
We're definitely nitpicking. we've had one game underneath 29 points,
and we're nitpicking.
We're nitpicking the crap out of this. These guys,
that's okay.
They're scoring outside of the red zone, so those numbers are skewed because we're not in the red zone that often. We're actually scoring outside the red zone. Red zone is 20 yards and in. So, yeah, the stats show that we're 25th in the league in red zone percentage, but that's not the whole story. Yeah. That's why we can't just look at stats. Mm-hmm. These guys are killing it on offense right now. And yes, you know, to that point, we have a fumble. We have 1 or 2 fumbles in the red zone this year, a couple of turnovers. That doesn't help your percentages, right? That thing it would get flipped on its head had we converted on those. But we're scoring outside the red zone, so that's not really a worry. And to your point, you know, we're hitting on in one of the other shows this week, you know, his play calling has changed. You know, I went back and looked at some of the things from last year. These guys, Kellen Moore was big play or nothing last year in the red zone, and you can see it. Guys were half the receivers were running clear out routes, and it was either we're going to score or we're going to be kicking a field goal. It's changed this year. Now he has combination routes on both sides. He has coverage beaters built into the routes. It's totally different play calling approach this year. There's just been a couple mishaps, obviously, right down there on the goal line. In the black zone, not even the red zone. Black zone gets thrown into the red zone. Black zone's 5 and in. So that's something that needs to get taken into account as well.
How many changes from week to week can you have from a red zone standpoint? From at least a mindset or an execution standpoint? And how can you emphasize that in practice? Because I don't know if anybody has really taking the time to look at it that way and say, hey, from a season-to-season standpoint, you can certainly see an upgrade. But from week to week, how much can really change?
I mean, you have your red zone packages. I mean, red zone packages are really just things that you would call in the open field, but they're just not as deep a route, right? So it's not like it's a totally different playbook for the red zone. It's just, hey, okay, some of our shorter routes are 10 to 12-yard routes. Those are the ones we're calling. We're not calling the 25-yard plus routes, you know, because red zone, depending on where you're at, you know, a 20-yard line, you got 30 yards to work all the way to the back of the end zone. If you're on a 10-yard line, I got 20 yards to work. So all your route tree, your entire route tree is still available to you for the most part. It just really comes down to what is he calling and what is he allowing for based upon coverages. Most of the coverages that you see in red zone are usually cover 4, a.k.a. goal line kind of blanket defense, right, where these guys are just putting their heels. Defenders are putting their heels on the goal line and saying anything that happens in front of us, A-okay, we're not letting you get across this line. And you'll see that. So as you're watching the game kind of take place, watch and see once we get in that red zone, watch the defense and see if they put their heels on that goal line. That's letting you know that, hey, we allow you to have everything in front of us. So it really just comes down to, can you have those underneath plays that get the ball in guys in playmakers' hands and let them get that run after catch. That's why you see Dalton Schultz scoring in the red zone this year. That's why you're seeing Zeke get the ball on the ground. Our run game's more efficient, so therefore we're doing better in the red zone, I feel like.
Yeah, they ought to be better in the red zone this year just because the O-line's got the continuity and Zeke and Pollard are running really well. Usually, I mean, if you can run the ball well, that serves you very well because the passing windows are so much tighter down there.
Yeah.
And I guess people don't understand how much attention they pay to detail in their red zone packages each and every practice. That's a part of it. You go down there and you practice what's happening in red zone, and against each team, they know what Zim likes to do in red zone as well. And the difficulty therein for the defense, because the defense it doesn't look like it, but the defense has the advantage to speak in the red zone because now you just shorten the field. And so we only have to play these certain areas for only so long.
Yeah, the thing that's underrated in the red zone, most people don't pay attention to, is guys get beat all the time in the red zone. The difference is because you're in this restricted space, you have the back of the end zone that's bordering you, and then you also
like an extra defender.
Yep, it's an extra defender. Plus, you have other guys that only have to guard so much space, so they end up being the ones that go out there and make the plays and prevent you from scoring the touchdowns. It's not the original guy that they're actually even going against.
You can use the sideline as an extra defender. You can use the back of the end zone as an extra defender. You can use your extra defender as an extra defender. You can do a whole many
Zeke is an extra defender.
You can figure it all out in the red zone from a defensive standpoint. But that is going to be a point of conversation for the Cowboys moving into this week is can they improve upon what they did in Week 6 against Mike Zimmer and that defense in Week 8. But tomorrow we've got some fun stuff on the docket. It is Say It With Your Chest Friday. We've got DraftKings. Who do you need to pick up as an under-the-radar DraftKings pick?
I already know your answer. You gave it away.
My answer?
Yeah.
Maybe. I might have given it away.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Fans have to go back and listen to that.
Yeah.
Catch it. Catch the Easter egg.
Yeah, maybe catch it earlier and get on top of it before the price goes up.
Yeah, some breadcrumbs.
And then we've, of course, got our Pick'em segment coming up on Friday in the third segment. But that's it for us here on the Thursday edition of Talkin Cowboys. Sorry, I'm disoriented. All right, Chris Beam in the back, Rob Phillips, Isaiah Stanback, Heckma Harrison. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow on Talkin Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!